What if we knew the laws of the universe, not just as a concept, but as a fully realized understanding of the laws that govern consciousness, energy, and life itself? This is what metaphysics points to. It's the branch of philosophy concerned with the first principles, the foundations beneath all things: being, knowing, causality, identity, time, and space. In essence, it is the study of the architecture of reality, the blueprint or the code beneath experience itself. This is the foundation of all understandings and studies, before mathematics, before physics, before chemistry, and all other sciences. But why should one care about metaphysics? Why study something so abstract, so intangible? Because metaphysics shapes the way we see everything. Whether we realize it or not, everyone has a metaphysical belief system. We all hold assumptions about what is real, what has value, what causes what, and what the self even is. These beliefs are like the operating system of our lives, silently influencing how we think, feel, act, and relate to others. When you study metaphysics, the laws of the universe, you are no longer reacting to life, but responding to it. When you study metaphysics, the laws of the universe, and embody them, you are no longer reacting to life, but responding to it. As true understanding of these principles through embodiment allows one to fully live. This is what all prophets, mystics, and esoteric traditions have pointed to throughout time: the deeper structure of reality, not just seen with the eyes, but known through direct experience. Learning and applying metaphysics is the path of self-realization. In Hermeticism, the ancient esoteric system outlines a metaphysical framework called the 7 Hermetic Principles. Teachings like all is mind, everything vibrates, and as above, so below. These aren't just poetic sayings, they reflect the patterns of the universe itself. In Buddhism, the Buddha reveals the structure of the mind and self, showing us that the form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. He speaks of impermanence, the illusion of ego, and the formless ground of being. These are metaphysical truths meant to be realized, not believed. In Christianity, Jesus shares wisdoms that reflect deep metaphysical laws. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. This reveals the law of cause and effect, the energetic mirror we live within. And in yoga, these same principles show up in many forms, like karma yoga, the path of selfless action, where every thought, action, and intention shapes not only our outer life, but our inner being. Yoga teaches, by aligning with the universal law through body, breath, and mind, we move closer to union with our true nature. All of these metaphysical principles, no matter the language, are pointing to the same truth: the law of one source, one consciousness, one being, expressing itself through infinite forms. Each teaching, every spiritual path, and every scientific breakthrough is just another angle of remembering and exploring this truth. Once we begin to conceptualize the laws of the universe, the question becomes, can we observe them within ourselves? This is the path of inner sciences. So as above, so below. Just as the outer science explores the physical world through method and observation, inner science is the systematic study of consciousness. These are structured paths of self-inquiry, like yoga, Taoism, inner alchemy, and mystical Christianity, where step-by-step disciplines are used to purify the mind, refine awareness, and access deeper states of being. Where meditation becomes a method, and the body, mind, and spirit becomes the tools of perception to observe and measure. Understanding the architecture of reality gives you the map, but to embody it, to walk it, is where the inner arts begin. The inner arts are the practices, both ancient and modern, that help us experience and live metaphysical truths directly. These include meditation, breathwork, energy cultivation, inner alchemy, and conscious movement. This is where metaphysics become truly understood, because this is where it becomes practical. The inner arts are how we embody the laws, not just think about them, but become them. I want to give a real-world example of how this embodiment actually works. When you begin to live in alignment with metaphysical principles, you start to recognize patterns, not just in thought, but in life itself. As the mind's tool of pattern recognition is the tool in which it controls one, but it is also the tool in which one is liberated, as pattern recognition becomes your doorway to understanding the universe. You seeing synchronicities, noticing the emotions, thoughts, and the life cycles. You begin to observe how your thoughts shape outcomes, how your energy attracts experiences, and how your belief ripples outward into form. For example, the law of vibration teaches that everything is in motion, nothing is truly still. When we understand this, we begin to realize that by changing our internal vibration, our emotions, our thoughts, our energy, the external world begins to reflect that shift. From health and relationship to synchronicities and life circumstances, your frequency becomes your reality. The principle of cause and effect reminds us that every thought, word, and action has an impact. This leads to greater self-responsibility. Not from fear, but from empowerment. We begin to act with awareness, knowing we are co-creating with life itself. The law of polarity shows us that everything has its opposite, and both poles are equally true. This dissolves rigid thinking and helps us embrace the paradoxes. It allows us to see that there is no absolute right or wrong, only perspective. And from that space, we become more compassionate, more understanding, and more free. As one begins to integrate metaphysical principles, not just mentally, but in how they live, feel, and act, the subtler their perception becomes. You begin to feel the layers beneath the surface of reality, and this depth of perception becomes the gateway into inner science and inner arts. With sharpened awareness, your practices become more refined. Meditation deepens, energy becomes tangible, patterns become more clear. Life itself clearly becomes both your teacher and your reflection, allowing one to really enter the path of inner mastery, where metaphysics is not just studied and conceptualized, but embodied, explored, and lived fully. Let's go through the inner sciences one by one to better understand the subtleties of refinement. As the base is metaphysics, we then go down to the mirror of mathematics, which would be sacred geometry, and the patterns of consciousness. This is where metaphysic pattern recognition begins, allowing one to see the patterns in themselves and the external world, as it shows us in shapes, ratios, and proportions, as this is the code that appears in nature, energy fields, and even our thought forms. From the patterns of the flower of life and the Fibonacci spiral, it is an inner language, as these concepts become more than conceptual. The next inner science would be inner engineering, mirroring physics, in which explores forces, motions, and mechanics. Inner engineering is about transforming our internal system, the internal forces, motion, and mechanics of energy, breath, and awareness, through conscious alignment. Practices like Kriya Yoga, Pranayama, and Hatha Yoga become tools for restructuring our inner circuitry and elevating our vibrational mechanisms. Inner alchemy is the next inner science, which mirrors the studies of chemistry, the reaction between the elements. In inner alchemy, we work with our subtle elements of chi or prana and the elements to balance the inner body. With Taoism and yogic systems, using this to purify emotions, transmute energy, and awaken to higher states of being, as this is the science of turning lead into gold. With practices of energy work, elemental balancing, sexual energy transmutation, along with other qigong and yogic practices. The next inner science is inner anatomy, which is the mirror of biology, the study of living organisms. While inner anatomy is studying the subtle body or energetics behind life. This including chakras, nadis, meridians, dantians, and auras. Mapping and identifying energetic structures, we gain a direct understanding of how life force flows, where blockages exist, and how healing truly works, from the inside out. Practice can include body scanning, specifically observing energetics, yoga, and qigong practices. And we can go even deeper into the inner science of inner psychology, the study of the inner mind, as this mirrors psychology, which studies behavior, cognition, and emotions from the outside. The inner science explores the direct experience of mind, identity, and consciousness within. This includes deep self-inquiry, shadow work, archetypical understanding, and ego integration. It is the exploration of the subconscious, unconscious, and superconscious realms, not through external observation, but through inner presence. As practices like jhana yoga, contemplative mysticism, and even dream work can fall into this science, as inner psychology is about the depths of knowing oneself through the mind. And just like in external science, these inner sciences are deeply interconnected. The division between sacred geometry, inner engineering, inner alchemy, inner anatomy, and inner psychology isn't really necessary, because they all arise from the same source, metaphysics. They are simply different ways of exploring the same truth, the inner workings of consciousness, energy, and being. This is the simplest form of understanding oneself, and, at the same time, the most profound. A living science that continues to evolve as we evolve. At the core of all this, metaphysics, the inner sciences, and every tradition and teaching is the simple truth that reality is not just something we observe, but it is what we are. These conceptual maps are not here to give us all the answers, but here to remind us of the universe within us, as the path to understanding is the path of understanding ourselves. As above, so below. As without, so within. The U inverse. That's it for today's video. Like, subscribe, leave any comments or questions, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace! Do you ever feel lost? Confused about who you are, why you're here, and what your true purpose is? Do you feel disconnected, lacking the purpose, direction, or energy to do what you truly want in life? I know that feeling well because I lived it, but through that confusion, I discovered something powerful. The deeper meaning you're searching for is already within you. The problem is, most people are never taught how to access it. That's why I'm dedicating my life to help others reconnect with their true self, to understand what life is really about, break free from limitations, and master their energy. My name is Ellis-Hernandez, and my journey began with a powerful awakening after a long period of depression and disconnection. And since then, I spent years diving deep into spirituality, science, philosophy, and energetic mastery. Through practices like meditation, yoga, qigong, holistic health, and a lot more, I've learned how to activate my energy, live in effortless flow, and follow my true passion. Now, I help others do the same. I work with people who are ready to break through, align their soul's purpose, and step into the most vibrant, awakened version of themselves. If that's you, I offer personalized one-on-one coaching to guide and accelerate your transformation. I also offer online courses designed to unlock your potential. And I have a YouTube channel filled with powerful insights to guide your journey. You don't have to stay stuck, and you don't have to keep searching. The path is already unfolding. Are you ready to step into the life you are meant to live and master your own energy? Click below to begin the journey today.